Hey, everybody. Welcome on into the studio. I am Jessica Putnam-Phillips, and you are here for Clay Share Live. Now, tonight we have a special guest joining us. We have Paula McCoy from Colors for Earth, and you might have seen her amazing work before. And if not, well, you're in for a treat. So she's the one who painted my fabulous Aloha rooster you see right here. Isn't he a cutie? She gave this one to me. And then her Colors for Earth color concentrates are like these really intense, strong, beautiful underglazes, but they still can be translucent. And so that's what she did this with. Now here I used some of them on this beautiful decal from Plum Island Transfer. And so that was a tutorial we did together on Clay Share, but look how beautiful these colors are with this decal. And then I did my wildflower texture around the rim to bring it all together. So it's a collab between me, Malin, and Paula. Even though they don't know they did the collab with me, they did. So that's what's happening. So tonight she's going to show you how to do a strawberry spoon rest. Perfect for this time of year. Strawberries are in season here in Vermont, and they're all in the stores everywhere at the farmers markets. So this could be some inspiration for you if you're looking for some sort of surface decoration. We got you covered. All right, we're going to head on down to Texas where we know it's hot and see how Paula is doing this afternoon. Hey, Paula, how are you?
Hi there. Thanks for having me tonight. Looking forward to sharing it.
Oh, I am so glad to have you with us. I feel like it's been way too long.
Time flies, doesn't it? It does.
Sure does.
All right, so we're going to do this oversized spoon rest. The bisque is earthenware that I'm working on. It's from Duncan's '04 line. I just thought I love mason jars. I love old things, and I just thought it was really cute. So let me change cameras and we'll get started, okay? And I believe on ClayShare, you've got the PDF, which is a 2-page PDF underneath the video that you can click and download. Has your pattern. I've put the shoulder of the jar there so you know kind of placement if you need that. And then just basic color and step outs and a little bit of about the brush strokes that we're going to do. And I'll go over those also. So to save a little bit of time, what I did was I put tissue paper over that pattern and I traced off with the pencil the pattern. And then I took the tissue paper and I used on this, it's earthenware. So I used the Statler Tri-Plus Fine Liner. It's like a water-based marker with a nice point like a Sharpie. If you're working on stoneware or porcelain, you can use the ultrafine point Sharpie marker. But I don't recommend you use it on earthenware and trap it between glaze and the bisque because sometimes it'll burn off. But what happens is it can leave a line if you paint outside your line. And I always paint larger than what my pattern is. And you can save those and reuse them. I've done them 3 times. And I'll tell you that on Monday morning, ClayShare, we're going to give away one of these. I sprung this on Kevin a minute ago, so we can't do it tonight. But on Monday morning, be sure and watch ClayShare Live, and we will do that. So you've got your bisque form. I'm not going to worry about the back of it because we only have an hour. Okay, so we're going to use the translucent underglazes, and the first 2 colors I'm going to use is 160 key lime, 122 lemon peel. These are translucent underglazes made for bisque, greenware, maiolica work. You can do all kinds of things. You can put it on, wipe them back to antique texture. So I like to use them for my watercolor background that I have on here with the gloss medium, which is my clear glaze for earthenware. You can use it to blend with your colors on your stoneware and porcelain, but don't use it as an over glaze, as a glaze over the top of what you've just done. Use, I recommend Mako's SW004 zinc free, or Jessica's got the 2167 that works really nice. So zinc free is your key. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit, like a dime size amount of each one of these out. And the reason I'm only using a dime is because I'm going to add the same amount of that gloss medium. Always make sure that you shake those colors before you dispense them because, can you hear that? They're thixotropic, so they tend to congeal around the wall of the bottle, and there's more there than what you think. So don't throw your bottles away till you really have shaken them well, okay? So I like to stir with the handle of my brush, and then I just wipe off the excess on a sponge because that way you're not wasting your product by rinsing the hairs of your brush and just throwing it down the drain, right? Okay, Now we're also going to thin these down to a wash. So I'm going to put just some water and another well next to those. I'm going to use the medium Sumi brush. These are my brushes I designed, I don't know, 30 plus years ago. I like to start from light to dark. So I'm going to get a healthy scoop of that yellow, mix it in. Now, when you make a wash, remember the color is heavier than the water, so it falls to the bottom. Make sure you constantly stir that well when you're grabbing more product. So you want to just do what I call my mush mush background. So what I'm doing is just hit and miss here and there, but I'm turning the brush into different directions so that I'm not developing a pattern, so to speak, because you don't want, I call it little rabbit tracks. Now, when you get around, I'm using a watercolor marker on here. So I've got to be careful because once I touch that watercolor marker, it's going to start going away. Can you see that? It'll still be there. And it looks really funky. It's okay. Don't freak out. It's going to all burn off and it'll be great. So just here and there, and then we'll go to the green. So do you see, I've still got a lot of color there. So don't think about mixing it. If you're going to mix it with the gloss medium, then definitely don't put as much out, because once you've got the gloss medium in it, you wouldn't want to put it back in your bottle. And I don't put it back in my bottle anyway, but I know some of you do. So keep that in mind. And then Jessica is going to read any questions that come across as I'm doing this.
Yes, so just a reminder to everybody that Paula's working. She cannot see your comments. I will be moderating. So if you have
Right.
any questions for Paula, you type it into the chat. And if it's something that has already been addressed, I will go ahead and type the answer. If not, we'll ask it of Paula so that we don't have to interrupt her. She doesn't have to worry about looking up and trying to read along. She can just focus on making her magic with those beautiful colors that she's doing right now.
Okay, so do we have any questions? Not
So
yet.
folks, well, we did have one about the PDF and it is available on clayshare.com just to download, and that's a free download. So go ahead and you can do that. And if you have questions for Paula, now is a great time to ask. And I will hold questions until Paula has a break and asks for questions so I don't interrupt her too.
I did put a blog post out with the PDF there too, if it's easier
Oh,
for her to
good.
find, and a link
Okay.
to ClayShare. So
And that's on colorsforearth.com,
correct.
which is
And then,
Paula's website where you can actually get the brushes and the colors. You can get what you need to do this.
exactly. And that way the color list is there. You can see what you have or don't have. I did add a second scoop, I call it. And I just got a little chunk there into my well. So I actually have 2 scoops of that green in there. It was a little light and I couldn't see it. So I wanted to put a little bit more on there. And when you're doing this, like the green, you may want to concentrate around your leaves. It's like a halo of green. And then I had some of the yellow around the blossoms. So especially if you're going into a whole bunch of different colors, by adding a background, think about that. You know, what's going to happen? What are they going to see after everything is painted? Okay, so I'm going to teach you some brush strokes tonight. I know we've done some of these before, but as I say, practice makes perfect, and you might as well, you know, do it again. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, right, Jess? Of anything.
Exactly. I'm going to try this tutorial, you know.
You
I'm
are?
going to try this.
Awesome.
I might have a shape to use this design on. I'll talk
Oh,
about
really?
later.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. I can't wait to see that. She's teasing you. You know, and she's good at that, right? And then she's like, oh, I shouldn't show you, but I'm going to.
That's right.
Anyway, so, okay, so we're just continuing around and filling in all of the background with that watercolor. Be sure to overlap those 2 colors so they don't have a start and stop type. And I'll show you how to correct anything that we need to. I'm just going to dab this in here. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. You can put this on the back also. I'm not going to because of time. But if you have an area, and I can zoom in just a little bit, if you have an area that is darker, so like here's a darker line that I can see, I'm just going to come back with water in my brush and just soften it and do that same motion. That's the key. Do the same motion that you've been doing, and then it's not recognizable to the naked eye. You might see it, but most other people will not probably see it. Okay. So I would do the same thing on the back with that. Rinse your brush, lay it flat. Everybody knows to lay the brushes flat. 2, we're going to do brush etiquette also, I guess we could call it. Lay it flat to dry. Don't stand them up in your containers, because when you do that, then the water runs down into the ferrule, loosens the glue, and then the ferrule gets loose. If you have a lacquer handle, it can cause it to crack, and then this whole part will fall off of it. And I'll sell you
So
another one.
we did get a question.
Okay.
How do you know you have enough color in your wash?
Because when I applied, I had 1 scoop in that green and I couldn't see any difference between the yellow and the green. And that's the reason I went back and added a little bit more. So, and it's really to your liking. You know, some people are darker or heavy handed with things and some people are lighter handed. So keep that in mind. But that's how I do it. If I can't see it and I can't see any change, then I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going to get rid of this wash because I want to put my red here. So the first are greens. We're going to do the leaves first. So start from the background, which we did. The leaves are behind the berries, so that's next. So I'm going to use CC 161 green leaf, CC 162 laurel green, because I use the key lime in the background. So I don't want it as soft. Yes, you could use it if you didn't have it for your leaves, because we're going to load both colors, but I stepped up 1 color just so it would be a different value from what is already on the piece. Any questions, Jess, while I'm getting these out?
There was about, well, the piece that you're working on is Mako Bisque, and that
No,
is
Duncan.
earthenware. Duncan,
Duncan.
sorry, it's
Yeah.
Duncan Bisque, and that is earthenware temperatures, just so folks
Correct.
know.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the Duncan 04 bisque. And I believe you can get your bisque from wherever, but I believe I got this from Glaser Ceramics. I ordered a whole bunch of different things delivered to the Ohio show earlier this year, so I didn't have to pay shipping on it. That's the way to do
That
it,
was
you know?
smart of you.
Okay, so I'm going to use a 10 square shader. And the reason it's called a square shader is because it's squared off compared to like a round. Okay, that way everybody knows this is a round, this is a square shader. Okay, that's why it's called that. Always wet your brushes before you start. Blot out the moisture on a towel. Okay, because you want to make sure you don't have water in the color because it's going to cause it to run. We're going to do these big leaves here first, and I'm going to show them to you on tablet to start with. So you fully load with the light color, which is the 161 leaf, green leaf. Okay. And what I'm doing is just kind of pressing it and fanning it, opening it up so that I can still kind of touch it on the edge to get a nice chisel edge on that brush. And this is what I'm calling the chisel edge. Okay. And then I always keep the writing of the brush towards me so that when I dip into the corner, I will always have the dark green on the same corner if you remember to look at the writing on your brush. And then what we're going to do is after we load that, we're going to blend it on our palette. So real quickly, 1, 2, 3, flip it over, dark next to dark, 1, 2, 3. A lot of times I will load it again the first time I use the brush just to make sure that I've got everything in there. On this particular one, I kept the dark to the center. So here's your pattern. You can just sketch them on a piece of paper just like I did, or you can transfer it onto, you know, a piece of paper or whatever works for you. I'm going to keep the dark side of the brush along the vein, center vein of the leaf. The light side will follow and constantly pivot and turn to follow the outside. So watch, so I'm pulling it. I'm keeping the point of this leaf towards my belly or my trunk of my body. Think of it that way. So then you're going to press down and come back up. It's almost like a closed C stroke, and then press and come back up, press and come out. Okay, so I'm going to load with what's on the palette there. So let's do that again so you see it. So it's press down and lift up, press and lift, press and lift, press and come off. So depending on the amount of pressure you put down will determine the size of the stroke. So a brush stroke is color, pressure, and motion. So I've got 2 colors. The amount of pressure will make large or small area, and then the motion is creating that brush stroke. So now I've pulled the left side of the leaf. I'm going to turn my piece around. I'm going to reload in those 2 colors, and I just re-cornered each one. I didn't go back and fully load. Until that dark gets all the way across my brush, I don't need to rinse my brush. Okay, so I still have the dark on the side where the writing is towards me. I'm going to keep it that way. And this time I'm going to push up the left side. So staying, let me switch and go both to side and overhead so that you can kind of see the amount of pressure. Okay. So I'm standing up and I'm pressing down and lifting up, pressing down and lifting up, pressing down and come off. And you can even pull in that stem if you have a nice chisel edge. So did that help, Jess, showing the side view?
Mm-hmm.
A lot
Yeah,
of
that's
times
great.
the
I
pressure
love that
is
side view.
something. So I'm going to do another one here. Okay. And I'm just anchoring with my pinky to steady me. So I'm going to press and lift, press and lift, press and lift, press and slide off. I'm going to turn it. And I'm just going to grab what's here in the center of my palette. And now I'm going to push. So I'm slightly tilted back. I'm not laying down like writing with the pencil. It's about, I don't know, 45-degree maybe. And then press and lift, press and lift, press and lift, press and slide off. Okay. All right. So let's go back to just the overhead. And then I'll do the second leaf when we get to that. Don't let me forget, Jessica, because that way it doesn't confuse everybody. All right. So I'm going to and this is a 10, you could use an 8, but the larger the brush you use, the softer the look. And I can switch and go down to a smaller one and show you too. But it'll take less strokes the larger the brush. Okay, so I'm going to do this one. The point of this is towards my belly. I'm going to press and lift, press and lift, press and slide off to a chisel. Turn it around. And did you see what I just did? I just went in it wrong. So I'm going to start over. Hey, that's why.
But you can fix it. See, this is good.
It's good. It's good. Any questions?
Yes. Is earthenware dishwasher safe?
Handmade, hand wash, I say. I would not put it in there because you got your stilt marks that will leave a little micro point, of opening of the bisque. Water's going to get in there and it's going to craze it. So I would not. I don't even put my stoneware in the dishwasher. Do you?
Yeah, well, I don't run the dishwasher in my house.
Oh, press and lift, press and lift.
I have trained people so that they do it for me.
Operator error, so to speak.
So whatever happens, happens. No, I hand wash my things. So I'll have like a mug that, and I'll hand wash it and put it in the dish drainer. But a lot of the everyday dishes in my house do end up in the dishwasher.
So, and this is a Kolinsky square shader. Okay. So the brush will make a difference on what you can do because not every brush is made the same. Tack-on brushes don't hold as much product. Tack-on means, and all I've got here is a rake, is a yellow hair versus the hair on your head, which is a natural, usually a brown type. So these are made great for acrylics and the product just slides off of it. It doesn't hold on to it. Where your natural hair brushes, it's like the hair on your head. It holds the shampoo. It's going to hold the product. Okay, so that's another little tip. So reload, recorner as you need and blend in the middle. And the reason you're going to blend is because I had a wild hair there, is because when you set that brush down, if you don't blend, you're going to get this stark line. And do you see, you get a nice graduated from dark to light. And that's what you want. You want it to look natural. And if it's got like a line of dark green, a line of light green, yeah, that's not going to look as nice. And I'm just going to keep doing these. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Turn around.
People are always so quiet in your demos because they're mesmerized.
Well, and the nice thing is you can play them over and you can stop.
Exactly. That's what I'm going to do later.
I love that. I do that when I'm trying to learn something new for sure. I do on yours. Yeah.
It's great that you can watch them over and over. So the question, can you write the name of the square brush? I will type it in if you.
It's on your paperwork. It's
It's in the PDF, folks. Go download the PDF.
Yeah. It's the 5200, and I put on the list a 6, 8, or a 10. So you need the 6 for sure, but you can get an 8 or a 10 in case they have
the number 6 in the 5200. So go print that out. If you go to clayshare.com, it's linked right below the video. You'll see the PDF. Or if you're on Colors for Earth's website, colorsforearth.com, you go to the blog and it's in there. And yes, if you're watching this, you can come back later and catch the replay. It'll be available for you. So you don't have to worry about figuring it out right now.
Nope. And a lot of times it benefits you to watch something one time and then go back and do it, because then you're like, oh yeah, I remember that kind of thing. At least for me, that works really well. So I do the left side coming towards me first, press and lift, press and lift, press and come off. See that chisel edge, that nice point? So it's all made with this same brush. You're doing half the work. You don't have to go back and do an outline that matches, or get you a nice fine point. Okay, so see how I'm turning it? Don't leave your piece in front of you and try to do it. I won't say backwards. I mean, that just doesn't, it's very uncomfortable and you're not going to get the same look. And if you send me a picture and say, what did I do wrong? I thought I followed you. I can generally look at it and tell you what you did wrong. So keep that in mind.
So your colors can be fired at cone 04, 05, but they can also be cone 5, 6, and they stay true.
Yeah, just the only ones that tend to burn out a little bit are pinks and purple. So put an extra coat on. That doesn't mean to put it on heavier. That means just to add another thin coat. So what I'm doing when I'm rinsing my brush, I take it to a towel and I press down. If I still see color, like I did over here, I keep rinsing. And because a lot of people ask, well, how do you wash your brushes? Believe it or not, very seldom do I ever take a brush cleaner to them. I just rinse it and do this. And when it doesn't show a color, it's clean. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now I'm going to switch over to the size 6, and we're going to do these little wedge strokes, I call them. Well, not just me. That's what they are in the real
That's what they are.
Brushstroke world. Yeah. So,
not the fake brushstroke world that some of us live in.
I
like
don't
me.
mean that. It's just actually toll painting is where it all comes from. I used to do a lot. So this is the number 5200, number 6. Okay. I'm going to load it the same way. Fully load in that light green, pressing it against the side of the well so that it gets in the hairs and it keeps me a nice chisel edge. Riding the brush towards me, corner. And when I say a corner, I don't know if you can see this. There's only about 12, 16 hairs, a third of the brush. Don't go over a third when you're corner loading, okay? I'm going to go over here and blend, but I'm going to move clear over here because that's where my dark ended. I don't want to put dark all the way across. Now, the writing of the brush tells me the dark's over here on this side. I want the dark next to the stem, so I'm going to flip the brush over. And I'm not starting square. This is what most people do wrong, is they start squared off. You want to start as if there's a V there. So you're starting at an angle. So the dark should be at your stem. And I squished my brush down, so I'm going to straighten to get a nice edge again. Flip it over. So what I'm going to do is press, pull, lift, 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 and slide off. And that one looks weird because of the fact I showed you the wrong way to start being squared off. So let's do that again. So I've got the writing, flip it over, press, pull, lift, and slide off. So watch, you know what I should have done? I should have put a piece of tape on here. I want you to pay attention. I think I've got one here. This is what I call my flag on my brush. And I want you to watch that the flag does not curve. There's no hooking with the stroke. It just stays right where it is. It's just color, pressure, and motion. Okay, so ready? We're going to start at an angle, not straight. We're going to press, pull, 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 lift, 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 and slide off. So if you watch the flag on the brush, I didn't turn it. So let's do another one. I need to get some more of that green out. But if you'll go ahead.
Okay. I was going to remind everybody, because a few folks have asked, there is a member discount for Colors for Earth. If you go to clayshare.com, under the community, we have on the left-hand side premium member deals. Go click on that and you'll see all the discounts from all the sponsors that we have for you. And they're only for you. So that's why I'm not sharing the code here in the chat, because
and they're good all the time.
Watching. Yeah, everybody's watching this, so
yeah, not just during, I won't say it. So yeah, you don't have to wait until a special or ClayShareCon or something. It's for you guys. We just started that you can use all year long. Okay, so angle, press, pull, lift, lift, and come off. Okay. And the paper, of course, drags a little bit more than what your bisque will. So I'm just re-cornering each corner, blending to get that. Now these are the little, same thing is you start at the stem, turning over dark next to the stem and come off. So I'm just going to add a little bit more of the light. I got plenty of dark here. And I'm going to keep turning this. So the point of that leaf is coming towards me. So press, pull, and lift. And I'm just going to grab a little bit more because there's plenty there. This way. Press, pull, and lift. This is such a smaller brush. I am going to rinse it and start over with my load because sometimes it gets just too much in it and it's hard to, and I'm going to wipe this out. It's hard to get that nice chisel edge after you get a bunch of paint in there. So don't overload your brush is what I'm trying to tell you. And I just did it again. Nothing like messing up on live.
But it's good because you're human and we're human. And we're going to make mistakes and we see you do it and then we see you fix it. So now we know we can fix it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I do not claim to be perfect at all. That is for sure. So just a little tiny bit. You don't need to add a whole lot on there because you've got a lot here on your palette too. Okay. Flip it over so the dark is next to the stem. Press, pull, and lift. Does anybody need to see this part with the side camera or are we good with me holding it kind of at an angle? Sometimes that works.
I can see it really well, the angle
Okay.
you're holding it. But if somebody chimes in and says they want it at the side, I'll let you know.
We still got some to go. So yeah, press, pull, and lift. And you may alter the direction because, sometimes our brush wants to do what it wants to do. And remember, your pattern is a guide. You don't have to follow it exact. You can go smaller, you can go larger. I usually go larger. That's just me. And I'm going to fully load this because I'm getting what I call, it was kind of separating. So it was getting dry. So I needed a little more of that lighter color, not just the corner load. Okay, so press, pull, slide off. Remember to nice and slow, just like I'm doing. I'm not doing it any different than I would do it if I was just painting myself. So don't think, oh, she's going really slow. No, you have to think about it methodically and see, I didn't even breathe. So you have to do what you got to do to get it there. So don't do it fast. Think of it as, and I've said this before, the airplane does not go to the end of the runway and stand straight up. It gently glides off, and your brush should gently glide off of your piece when you're doing this. So press, pull, lift, 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 lift to a point. And just reload as you need it. Press, pull, and lift. Press, pull, and lift. I'm not going to worry about stems right now. We're going to do berries. Okay. Rinse that brush. Remember to wipe it out, leave it flat to dry. And I'm going to switch my tin. I don't like the way that one was behaving. You have brushes that are newer and some that are not. So, okay. So now we're going to use still the 122 and the 112 Candy Apple Red. I do have some of the 22 left here with the medium in it. That's okay. If you didn't, then don't put medium in it for these. I'm not going to put it in the 12. I'm going straight from the bottle with this application. And I don't know if you've ever talked about this, Jess, but I was always told for 35 years that yellows eat red. So yes, when you have yellow on your brush or over under, it's going to eat through or soften or lighten the color that the red. Okay, so keep that in mind. You're thinking, oh my gosh, that's like really strong. Oh, and guess what we need to do? We need to wipe out the center of our palette. Let me grab my sponge because now we need to blend our yellow and red. Put that up there. Get it off my hands before I get it on the piece. Okay, so fully load, same thing, riding the brush towards you, corner load, blend, 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 blend. And what did I say? The first time I do a color, I'm going to do it twice just to make sure that is thoroughly in all the hairs of my brush. The yellow is to the center. And if you look at that, it's darker yellow in the middle, and then it just slightly fades out. I wouldn't call that orange, but it softens the reds as you go. It's just a nice soft transition. I'll grab that red again. So yellow to the middle, and we're just going to follow the shape, and we're going to make one stroke this way, and we're going to go around to the other side. So press, pull, and I'm going to stop. I like to turn my piece because I want it to be comfortable for me. Well, you don't have to. I'm going to turn it this way because I want to be able to see where I'm going. That's the main thing, is that you can see what you're doing. And then I just kind of go like that to just soften that center. We're going to go over this 3 times. So don't worry about the way it looks. I'm going to do the large ones with this brush, and then I'll switch to the smaller brush. So press down all the way. You see how much the bristles are bent? So I can cover more ground when I use all of those bristles. You paid for all of it. You can use all of it at one time. So a lot of people tend to load their color like halfway up the brush. You're not going to get a good stroke or application of any product doing that. You need to load it thoroughly. Okay. So you can just kind of gently go back over it if you have a buildup of product would be a good way. Because sometimes when you press down on the bristles, it squeezes out the sides. So don't leave it in a big, thick hump of color there. Be sure and brush it out. It is a translucent or transparent underglaze. So I'm just going back and picking up from my palette. I don't need to reload. Press down and just curve it around. And then I can just go like that there. And then, do you all know that these little nubs on your paint wells, these little nubbies here, they're great to lay your brush between. It won't roll. How's that? Another little tip.
That's great. We had a question. So you're using a medium on the earthenware. What's the purpose of the medium, and do you need to use one for cone 5-6?
I would use it on my background because I feel like unless you're just really comfortable with working quickly, because if you don't have the medium in it on either surface, as soon as you put that pigment, it's just pigment in a gel base, as soon as it goes to the bisque, whatever cone you're working with, it stains it. With the medium mixed with it 50-50, you have open time. So in the tool world, the word medium is an extender and opener. So you have longer to manipulate what you're doing and to get it to look the way you want. You just do not use this as a clear glaze. It's only for earthenware as a clear. So we have a CC underglaze sampler kit, and it has a pint of the clear glaze in it, and it's got 14 colors, pretty much all your primaries. That's a good starter kit. And then we've got other ones you can look at also.
So just for folks that are new and don't know what the medium is, and this is the first time you're hearing about it, when you're painting on bisque, bisque is very thirsty. It's going to suck in whatever you put on it super fast. So as Paula's doing these beautiful blended strokes, if she didn't have a medium mixed in, what would happen is the clay would suck in the color really fast, and it would kind of drag, and she wouldn't get these beautiful smooth strokes. So with the medium, it allows you more working time and able to get these beautiful blended results that Paula's getting.
Right. And I said on the strawberries, yeah, you don't have to use the medium. I just didn't want to waste this product. So I didn't put it in the red. Okay. Could you? Absolutely. But when you're doing that watercolor background, or you're doing 2-color, 3-color blending, where you're trying to get a nice smooth transition from one to the other, then that's when you want to do it. The brush strokes, I didn't have it in there because I want to see every stroke. So as it's doing that stroke, it's creating my side veins with me, and I don't have to worry about it. So that's okay. I'm good with that. But if you were doing, like, for instance, this butterfly, I want these colors to blend. So I have medium with it so that I can blend from light to dark. And
that's why your background's not patchy, because you use the medium.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Anything else before I move to I'm going to go to the
I think we got it. That was what folks were asking.
So do you have to have it? No. If you're a beginner and you're unsure, it doesn't hurt to have it. You can buy it in a 2-ounce size, which is this one. Singly, you can get it in pints, and then we have 8 ounces in between there, and a 4-ounce jar. So just get you a little bit, try it. You may find you like it, and there you go. Okay, so on the flowers, I'm going to sumi shade. I'm going to take the small sumi brush, make sure there's no water on that ferrule. You don't want it running down. I put it in water and I drag it off to a point. And then I'm going to just tip the tip of that in there. And I'm going to tuck that along the outside of the petals. So tuck it, sit it down, mush, mush, mush. Do you see how the brush is bending? That's my new rap song. So sit, 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 sit. And then
this album will be coming out later this summer.
Yeah, I have time for that, right? Not. Okay. And you can see how that watercolor marker is bleeding and looks really nasty. Don't let that, you can transfer with clay carbon if that bothers you. You know, clay carbon is good to transfer. So I'm constantly turning. Remember, I'm always aiming my brush where I want it to go. And then rinse your brush occasionally, drag off the excess water, but tip it into the color, whatever your color might be. And I'm tucking it in, sit it down, mush, mush, mush. Tip for the next petal. And we just keep going around. So this is what I call sumi shading. And I developed my sumi brushes. They are a black natural squirrel hair. I developed them probably 30-ish years ago. I went and took China painting lessons and because I wanted that look. I just thought that was so neat. And this is what I ended up coming up with. So there's 4 sizes in the set, or you can buy them individually. And while you've got those of you that are Clayshare members, use that discount. At least get you the small and the medium if you don't get the set. Because I can tell you the small and the medium are, and the mini. The large one I don't use as much because I don't do a lot of large pieces. But if you do large pieces, it's definitely beneficial. Okay, so you can see that we've got that. I'm going to rinse the brush. And now I'm going to tip into the yellow. Once again, if you had some without the medium, you could use it, or you can use what you've got there. And I'm going to tuck this. You don't want very much on there. Tuck it towards the center.
I will link your brushes directly in the chat. So
oh, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Jess is starting to use hers. Just don't stick them in the bottles.
I'm not going to.
You know what happens here on my end? I like cringe. I'm like, I know lately you've been saying, Paula, don't watch.
I know. I'm bad brush mama.
Well, they're not cheap, you know.
No, I know.
And natural hair is getting harder and harder to get because of imports and everything. So that's, you know, they've doubled in price in the last 30 some years.
Well, have you know, I haven't been sticking your brushes in the bottles.
So. Oh, okay.
other brushes, maybe, but not yours.
Oh, okay. Okay. You know, you get what you pay for with anything: shoes, haircuts, clothes, and brushes. And I do own Color Brush Company, so I'm kind of fanatic about my brushes. I did that about, I don't know, probably 9 years ago, something like that. Okay, so you can see not much difference. I mean, we got to put more coats on this, but if you look at it side by side, the colors are going to intensify, but not too much. Pretty much what you see is what you get. I mean, and you only need to do the flowers one time. So now in the center of the flowers, we're going to take the stubby brush, and there's only one side. It's a cat's tongue or filbert shape. It's rounded at the tip. It's a synthetic mongoose is what we call this. I'm going to load it in the yellow, and then I'm going to just beat it to death to give it a bad hair day. Can you see that?
Yes.
Like split ends. Yeah. And you're going to use that to just stipple in the center of that flower. And that just gives it a little bit of texture is all you're doing. Then we're going to get a little 186 burnt sienna. Again, shake those bottles. You don't need but a smidge of this. So I'm just going to put just a tiny dot up there. A little bit goes a long ways. They are highly concentrated, so you don't need a lot out. A lot of people there's covers for your palettes if you have to leave and you come back, or if you just want to save your color for the next day. Another good tip, and I don't know that I've ever said this online, press and seal. Put out of your kitchen, press it down between, and that'll help definitely save that color for you. So now we want just a touch, itty bitty, just what I call tickle the center, the lower center with that. and you're just getting like, you could put dots in there, but you're just getting little tiny fuzzy dots is all it is. And that's it. This brush can also be used for the petals if you wanted to do more of a, say, a brush stroke with it, which is kind of cool. You could actually load it in the white or the yellow. You can reverse it, tip in one color, and then you could press and come off. And look at that. You can have almost like a little, you can make daisies. Isn't that cool? So there's other things that you can do with that, not just, but I use that brush to stipple in my centers of my flowers almost every time, unless they're tiny, tiny. All right, so we're going to go back to the yellow, but we've got to get some more yellow out. And I'm not.
So where would we find that brush on your website? We go under brushes.
Just type in Stubby. The less.
Just Stubby? Okay.
Yep, Stubby. The less you put in the search bar, the better, because you try to match what I'm saying, and I may have put it in one way, and it may be have a hyphen and a number. There's all kinds of variations. So I'm just reloading my brush to start my second coat on those berries. Look how, whoops, I just about dipped that. How nice and bright that makes it. And then you can just kind of soften that center. Recorner as you need it. Blend, 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 blend. How are we doing on time?
We are good. You have about 10 more minutes. So you can have 15. I'll go over. Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're fine. We did have a question. Do you ever add water to your colors, or are you using them straight out of the bottle full strength?
The only, like I did the wash for the background, that's really the only, or if I'm just wanting a thin application of that color, but I don't add it when I'm doing brush strokes. No, because it's going to make it too runny and it's going to bleed. It's not pretty. I wouldn't. Unless you get, now I should say the caveat here is the 186 burnt sienna, sometimes the 140, the navy, the darker colors can get a little thick. And if you are an earthenware only user, you can actually put a couple of drops of the medium into the brown if it ever gets dry. That's the only one, the 186, that we've ever had any issues with. But you could slightly thin it. But what happens is, let's go to the brushstroke thing, is if you don't have the colors the same consistency, it's not going to load on the brush correctly. Because if one is too thick and one's too thin, you're not going to get the proper load. So keep that in mind. Just make them the same consistency. And I'm not going to worry about a second coat on these, or a third coat, because of our time.
But you would do a third coat normally?
I would do a third. I'm going to go back and do the small one real quick.
Would you do 3 coats on the leaves as well?
Nope, because it is a physical brush stroke. You don't want to do that. If you're doing the blending, the 2 and 3 color blends, yes, I do on those. I'll do 2 to 3 coats depending on the color. Your darker colors are going to cover your lighter colors. You may need an extra coat on them. And these are translucent, transparent. That's what they're supposed to be. I've got a little buildup of color there, so I'm just kind of brushing that out a little bit. Okay. All right, so let's grab the liner, which is the 3600 number 2 liner. My favorite. It's on your paperwork too. But if you have a favorite liner, go for it. So I'm going to take a little bit of both of those greens and make the middle color. And then I'm going to slightly, okay, so here's why you would thin it down if you're doing line work. But here again, it's a brush stroke. So I dipped into my water and I'm just thinning one little corner of that. And I just keep pulling it on my palette here until I get all of those hairs coated. I'm going to take off the water that's on my ferrule so that you get that nice point back. Okay. So here we're going to come up here and just pull in our stem. And I ran out when I got there. And here's another. So if you need to get your pattern out, I'm going to bring that one that way. So just go through and pull all of those stems into everything. Okay, so this one comes back here. And we've got one here and here. You really don't need a stem in the middle of this because it's all dark. It's going to be covered with your outline anyway. We need to put our calyx in. Let's see, we got to have a flower, stem, and leaves. All right, so then your curly cues. One of them is, and if you need to draw them in where they're going to go, you would feel more comfortable. But I guarantee you, you can trace them on, but it's not gonna, your brush is gonna do its own thing, okay? It's because of, it's gonna grab to the bisque, you know, in certain ways. So I'm gonna start on the tip. When I press down, it's gonna be thicker. When I'm going into the curl, I lift up more to the tip. So I can press down here to make it thicker and then lift when I get to that turn. Okay. If you say, oh, yeah, right, Paula, I can't do that. That's okay. Because guess what? You can just take and give it a little wiggle and it looks really nice too. You don't have to do that hard curl if you don't want to. Okay. So let's bring one here. And let's bring one here. And maybe you combine them. You get a curl and then you just wiggle like a little snake there. And I'm going to do one up here. Okay. Now, real quick, let's do the top, which is Aquasplash LE003. It says LE versus CC because it was a color years ago that was, we weren't sure we were going to be able to obtain the minerals to make it. So we named it limited edition instead of one of the regular CCs. And two others we did have to discontinue many, many years ago, a pink and a purple, because they had gold and we can't afford them. That's what it boils down. Who can, right? Okay, so once again, put you some water. Let's go back to the medium sumi brush. I'm going to grab some of that, or you can just slightly thin it if you wanted to thin it right in the well. And you're just going to paint, take some of that color off. You're just going to paint over the top. So what's going to happen is it's going to fall down in that texture, if you have texture there. Did you notice how it was kind of grabbing? So I grabbed some of this. So if I didn't have the medium in it, it would grab even more. And you would be able to see every stroke that you did here. Okay. So then what I did was I took, you can take this brush or you can take the big square shader and you can load it with water, corner in the aqua, and I'm going to blend over here real quick. And you can take and you can run that along the edge. Now you're going to, it's not going to do the whole thing. You're going to have to come back, but see how I'm going back and forth. And then I'm just going to grab some of that. And you can almost, I don't know if you could hear the bisque there, but it's really dry out there. So it tends to drag along there. But I am using the 50-50 mix here to do this so that I can make sure I can work this over time. And if I need to soften an area, I can. So the medium, I would say probably 75% of the people use the medium that I sell to. Just because of all the different techniques you can do with it. Now, Jess does not, she thins, but she thins her color down a lot more than I do. And I'm thinning it with the medium. See, that's what's happening. You're thinning it with water, right, Jess?
I am, but I'm gonna get some medium and try it. I could be converted.
Okay,
I'm
remind
not
me.
opposed. So many people are commenting. They're saying, thank you so much for teaching these brushing fundamentals, you know, and breaking it down step by step for people that have never done this before. They struggle with this. And then some folks are not great at drawing. And so this is much more approachable for them than drawing. So give this a try, everyone. You can do this. You can do it. I promise.
And on my website under the blog, you can go to, I'm looking for my 3-round. You can go to blog and then brushstrokes. And even though I may be doing it in acrylics, it works the same way. And just try it, you know, try it. Just use, if I'm using a light green, dark green, same thing. So I'm going to load this 3-round with the light green. I'm going to tip into the dark and I'm going to tap that so it's not got a lot on there. I'm going to do my little calyx real quick. Press and pull. So press down, lift to a point. Grab a little bit more of that dark. So there's generally 5 of these. coming out from the center. And you notice how I constantly turn my piece. 99% of the time, I'm pulling my strokes towards me. Left-handers are going to push. So just press and lift. So these can go, now see, as a teacher, you have to know how to paint even left-handed. I don't know if you do that, Jess, but you ought to try doing brush strokes left-handed when you're right-handed. It's a challenge, but I used to do it a lot. I don't do it as much anymore. So press and lift. So press and lift. And I'm kind of giving it a half a turn. Again, watch that piece of tape on the end when I do that stroke. Dip into that. Where did I go? Down here. So press and lift. Did you see it kind of make a little bit of a turn there? I dipped into some that was thinned and I got a kind of a yucky point. Okay.
Looks good from here. Nobody noticed. Don't say anything.
Press and lift to a point. Constantly turn. And if you need help, I'd be happy to help you one-on-one. We can do that too. Okay, got all those. And now you're left, I think, the outlining and then just your seeds. So we'll do the seeds and we'll just outline one up here and then we'll be good to go. All right. So
Paula, do you ever wet soak your bisque before painting them?
I have not on this or stoneware. No. Why do you? Is that a question or you're asking?
It's a question. And I was asking, I don't wet soak, but sometimes I will take a clean, damp sponge and wet the whole thing down pretty thoroughly. Yeah. And it gets it. And I do let the clay soak, the bisque soak up moisture so that it's not as thirsty. I
squeeze out a lot of the water because that's just the way I was used to doing it, just to wipe any dust, because maybe I've cleaned and fired this and there could be dust on it. Or dust from the manufacturers. So that's the reason you're going to wipe it down. And I did kind of wipe this one before I started. So I apologize. I should have said that. Okay. So your seeds, I've got that 3600 number 2. You're going to aim the point of the brush towards the top of the berry. And we're going to do what's called a pressure stroke. Okay. So here we go. We're going to tip and then press and lift. And that didn't do very well because I'm on an angle. So press and lift. You have to have it really loaded more than you probably would for outlining, just because, see that, I get a better press and lift. So there's no movement other than your pressing down and lifting straight up. Pressing down and lifting straight up. Now, this is just my way of doing seeds. Doesn't mean it's the right or the wrong. You may do it a different way, but that shows you how to do it with that brush. Okay, so I'm going to start up here, set and lift, set and lift, set and lift. Can you see that? Good. And I can go 4 or 5, and then I really need to load some more just to make sure I've got enough. And you can put them all over it. And what I'm doing is staggering it to make it a little more pleasing to the eye. But the moment I start getting squared at the bottom, I'm going to load more. And you could go back over that if you wanted to. So press and set, press and lift, press and lift, press and lift, press and lift. So there you go. Maybe we'll add another one right there. So these over here, of course, are going to be smaller because it's a smaller berry. You wouldn't want to do as big on it. Any other questions?
So we had a question. What would you do if you got a bit of color where you don't want it?
Depends on the color. If it's a dark color, like the darker green or the black, it's hard to get. You can let it dry and try to erase it off with like one of those typewriter erasers. But if it's lighter in nature, I will take a damp sponge, especially if I've got that medium mixed with the color. Remember, that's like having an insurance coat, because I can take a damp sponge and wipe it off real quick and it will get rid of it. But if you don't have the medium, it's sucking into the bisque. It's grabbing right where you set it. So it's going to be hard to get it off of there. It's absorbing into the wear. So, okay. So just take the same liner and you're just going to thin it down slightly and do your outline. And on your little calyx, I like to do just one side because otherwise I feel like it is overwhelming to the piece. And I tend to do You see how I'm constantly I probably turn my piece more than anybody else that paints, I think. And it's just the way I learned, it's what works for me. Okay, so I reloaded, and let's do this guy up here. So I'm pulling it in, coming around that bottom. Doesn't have to exactly line up. On your leaves, same thing. You're going to bring your stem. You're going to follow those strokes for your side veins. See how I followed that little wiggle? And then just faithfully go along the outside. Doesn't have to match. And if you make it nervous and shaky and you do it for all of them, nobody will know that it wasn't perfect, right?
I think shaky's better. I actually, when I'm drawing a lot of times flowers and leaves, I make my hand like wiggle a lot just because I like that. I like that more organic. Yeah, it's really fun.
And I started doing that because when you're trying to paint faster, and I used to tell my seniors, you don't have to do it. If you do it that way but I shake, it's okay because nobody's going to know that it's not supposed to. I'm going to anchor it on the table here. On the smaller ones, you can do both sides or you can do one side. I did one side on these, and that's a great way to clean up something that went cattywampus, I call it. So over here, I've got a little bit of a jagged outline there that I don't like. So I can go center and then I can come along that edge. And now it's gone. You'd never know there was any kind of problem, which most people might not think it is. But you don't have to do it on both sides. The black is too overwhelming, I think, is the biggest thing. It's just too much for it.
I think I agree with you. I often do both sides, but sometimes I'm looking at it later and I do feel like the black can be too much. But you need it on one side because I did some without.
Yeah, you got to see it.
I did some without, and I was looking at it and I was like, it's missing.
Exactly.
Everybody will see in my class tonight what I'm talking about.
What are you doing tonight?
Oh, this is the summer fruits. We are doing watermelons, cherries.
I thought you weren't doing the live tonight. You decided?
I'm going to do it. Yeah, I've been trying to do this for like 5 weeks. I'm going to do it, Paula. You guys are getting a treat tonight. I'm going to stay and do it.
Well, just don't overdo it.
I'm going to try not to.
No,
if I flag out, Kevin's going to come and take over for me.
Ooh, that could be interesting. You're on the spot, Kevin. Okay, so on your flower, just do that kind of wiggly center and then come around those petals and then just pull some fine lines out from the middle. And I'm doing this really, really fast. Try to get that top one so you've got an exact, because you can go back and do the ones at the bottom.
It's just one coat for the liner.
Yep, just one. And at Waukesha, I'm going to do my daisy piece. And look at this, you guys. No liner involved.
Oh,
amazing. Paula did something different.
I love it. Yeah, so that's the Fire Arts Expo coming up in August in Waukesha, Wisconsin. You're going to be teaching 6 classes.
There's my classes.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
You made a flyer.
I did.
You're so advanced.
Kevin can make that for you.
Right.
No?
No, I'd be making it probably.
Yeah,
but.
so this is the other, one of the other pieces that I'm doing there.
Oh, it's beautiful. So it's August, is it 15th, 16th, 17th?
Yes.
Okay.
That's 14th.
So 15th, 16th. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Correct.
3 days.
See that hummingbird? We're going to do that.
You're going to do that. So there'll be classes. A bunch of people will be teaching. Paula will be teaching. I will have 6 classes as well. I know Debbie from Daylight Design Gifts will be there. Melanie from Ceramics will be there. Michael Harbridge will be teaching. And we'll talk more about that, firedartsexpo.com. We'll talk more about that as we get closer.
Yeah.
So
you would just apply your clear glaze over the top, and you can put an edge on it if you want. I can show the edge if you want me to, but I think people have seen me do that. Does anybody need the edge done?
It's your call. We got like 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's run back over here. So I use a 1-inch foam brush. It looks like a house. Sides of the house, the roof. So your edge of your piece should only stay on that roof right in the middle is where it's going to be. And I just took the Aqua Splash mixed with the, about out of it, medium, which is what we used earlier. I'm just going to mix up a little bit more. And I'm going to dip my brush in the water, and then I'm just going to mix with it because I'm going to use it. You can put it on a turntable, banding wheel, Lazy Susan, whatever you want. But the key is just to keep it right in the middle of that roof, as I call it. And just the same amount of pressure will conform over and under, so you get a nice professional edge. And it doesn't matter what the shape, because this is a weird shape. You can do heart, triangles, stars, it doesn't matter. Just move, the turntable just aids you in moving the piece easily. And you would do that a couple of times and it's ready. So I just have to finish outlining that. Okay.
It's
All right.
fabulous.
Any other questions for me?
Yeah. So people love the butterfly. They can't wait for your other classes. Michael Hunkins is going to be there bothering you at Fire Arts Expo. So it's going to be great. And we'll talk more about that before it happens. We got 6 weeks or so. So
okay.
Fantastic. All right.
And we're going to give away one of these on Monday.
Yes.
Right?
We'll talk about that more in the next broadcast. So,
okay.
All right. So thank you so much, Paula, for joining us tonight. And we can find your products at colorsforearth.com. And you have kits that people can buy and save.
Singles,
buying kits. And if you're
the bottles that I was working out of are 2-ounce bottles. Jess has the 1-ounce ones there on the table with her.
I'll show these.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. All right, hon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Wonderful, Paula. Thank you so much.
As always, Paula's the master. She really, really is. These are the 1 ounce. Let's get our measurements correct, lady. These are the 1 ounce bottles, and Paula had the 2 ounces. I've been using these 1 ounces forever. This one's they're getting a little low, and I'll get more in August when I see Paula at the Fire Arts Expo. So I was kind of hinting about that shape Paula was using. It's a Duncan bisque fired piece, so you buy it already bisque fired. You don't make it yourself. And you decorate it any way you want, which is really great. But what if you wanted to make your own, what if you wanted to make your own mason jar dishes? Would it be nice if somebody had a set of rim templates that they would sell to you? So then you could make your own mason jar plates that do work with GR pottery forms, or if you don't have GR pottery forms, you could just do like I did here and just turn the rim up, and they're 4 different sizes, plus we get a little free gift tag size. That's this little doodad right here. Oh my gosh. So those are going to be available on Clayshare Market tomorrow. Premium members, you guys get your discount, so be sure you are logged in when you purchase. But yeah, they're great, and they work with the trays. And I'll talk a little more about this if I have time in my class next. So we're gonna have a little break. I'll be back at 6:15. I'm gonna teach you all 3 different, I do a fruit, it seems to be a fruit themed every summer surface decoration class, although I might change it up a little next year because we've done a ton of fruit. And I mean, all that's left is bananas, and I just don't know if I'm going to do bananas for you. But maybe if you keep asking, it'll happen. Or avocados, right? So this one's watermelons, get the glare off there, cherries, and citrus. Now I made limes, but you could make oranges, or you could make lemons, or tangelos, or whatever you got that you want to put on there. But I'm going to teach you these 3 different surfaces next in the primetime class, and you can just do 1, or you can do all 3 like I did, so it's up to you. All right, so there will be a primetime class next, yes. Next week there will not be a broadcast because it is 4th of July week, so we will be taking a break, plus also I have to be very careful about what I do so I don't overdo it right now, and hopefully, for me, I'll be able to do more as I get better. So anyhow, just some stuff to share with you guys. You'll be able to catch this replay in a few minutes. And be sure to check out Paula at Ceramics by Paula on social media. She's also listed on Facebook. Are you Paula McCoy, Paula, on Facebook, or are you and Colors for Earth on Facebook? So on Instagram, it's Ceramics by Paula. You can find me on Clayshare on Instagram and Facebook. And also me is Jess Putnam-Phillips. So you can find me in my work separate as well. So Clayshare Market is where you find our rolling pins and our rim templates. You can order rolling pins tonight. Rim templates for this particular shape won't be there till tomorrow, so you're gonna have to wait. All right, we'll have a little break. I'll be back at 6:15 p.m. to do this fabulous surface decoration class. I'll see you all in just a minute. Bye, everybody.